I still love you, still love you. Even all the dysfunctional things you do that you like, even when you're wrong and won't admit the truth. But you can call me crazy, cause I'm your baby, and I'm gonna stay with you.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Me Before We. I'm King Mason, and we have a great show ahead of us. I want to introduce our guest right quick. This is Camellia, and this is Miss Courtney. I call her Miss Feisty, and that's what she's going to be for today. Today's topic is interracial dating, and I just really want to just put a couple of questions out there for the people who have dated and who haven't dated. So let's jump right in. Miss Camellia, what made you start dating outside your race? Was it attraction or was it curiosity?
I think it was attraction. I lived in a city where there weren't a lot of black people, and I went to a school where most of the people I was surrounded by were of Caucasian or Asian descent. So it was just an environment, and there happened to be someone there who was not black, and we clicked. So I think it was a natural attraction. I wasn't necessarily curious about, him because of his race, just that we got along. Yeah.
Was
he was cute.
Was he white or Asian?
He was white.
He was white?
He was white. He was actually Irish. So, yeah, he was from, I was in Boston. He was from Boston. Okay. And, red hair, the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
So, but he had a little hood in him. He had a lot of black friends that he grew up with. So, we got along because I think that he was the closest that I'd seen to a black man as far as his attitude there.
Wow.
But he just happened to be white.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Myself, maybe attraction. Because growing up, black guys were not attracted to me. The white guys, Hispanics, those were the ones that approached me.
Really?
So I just dated them because that was my dating pool.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Was it something you had to think about, or was it an easy decision to make?
It was an easy decision to make initially. I think as we continued to date, it was fun. It was easy, and I was there with friends. I didn't have family there, so he didn't necessarily have to interact with people that I grew up with. But as we continued to date, I think it became harder. Some of the cultural things that we just didn't understand with one another and his family, it became more and more difficult to continue to date. But initially, again, it was easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask this question. What are some of the challenges of dating interracially?
Of course, you got the two families. When you have, of course, my family was very adamant about sticking within the race and only dating inside of your race. And then, of course, if I'm dating someone outside of my race, their family might not be as progressive as them. So I'm dating a Caucasian, he's attracted to me, finds me his equal counterpart, but who knows what mom and dad are calling me when I leave the room.
Okay. Yeah, I was taught if I ever brought a white woman home, she would have to sit outside. Let me see this. So, what did you learn, or what was taught to you from dating outside your race?
I guess I probably learned more about other people and the way that other people reacted to seeing, two people together who were not necessarily, of the same race than I learned about myself or about him. I think that we were pretty genuine with one another, and he was a cool guy. But, sometimes we would get in situations, especially in that part of the country, where it became uncomfortable, the way that people responded to us. And I remember growing up and being one of those girls who would get mad if I saw a black man dating a white girl. So I was that girl at one point. And I remember the way that I reacted. I was never, aggressive or ever said negative things about it. But I have looks. And to be on the receiving end of that became, from white people mostly, became very uncomfortable. So.
Okay. And last question. What did you learn, or what did that teach you that you couldn't have learned from dating from your own race? What did the Asian, or what did the Caucasian teach you that a black man couldn't teach you from dating him?
Well, like I said, I started dating outside of my race day one. My first boyfriend was not of my race. But then I did some back and forth. I've dated pretty much every race, including mine. And just the differences between from what I was being told from men of my race and men of other races was just more progressive thinking. That women can be on their own and do their own thing, have their own goals. And I did not learn that dating black men.
Wow. Okay. Black men, we need to step it up. We're going to take a break right now. This is Me Before We. I am King Mason. We'll be right back.
Yeah, call me crazy, but I still love you. Still love you.
Hello, and thank you for staying with us. I'm King Mason, and you're watching Me Before We. We have some different guests now I just want to introduce you to. I want to introduce you to Ronnie, and I want to introduce you to Nate. And we're talking about, if you're just tuning in, interracial dating. So let's go ahead and dive right in. What made you date outside your race? Was it just attraction or curiosity, or how did that go?
It was attraction, I guess. It was attraction and circumstances. That's just the situation that was presented to me, and I took advantage of it.
All right.
Honestly, I dated a Caucasian girl in college, and it was just one of those situations that the door opened up for me, and I walked in, pretty much. So
Jesus opened it up.
I didn't even go out for the house, It was like I walked outside and she was there pretty much,
Wow.
One of those type of situations. And so, she was attractive, so I took the opportunity. Now, granted, I was scared because I was in Tallahassee, Florida. I was scared of a few things. One, it's Tallahassee, Florida, and then two, I went to FAMU. She went to FSU. I've been around black people all my life. I grew up church, school, everything, and FAMU is a predominantly black school, so I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want the pickup truck boys to see me with her. And I also didn't want my sisters over at FAMU to see me with her. Because I was like,
wow.
I didn't want to get lynched and I didn't want to get blacklisted. So it was like one of those situations.
That's crazy.
So I tried to keep us low key. She wanted to go out like everywhere. And I went with her to a couple bars, but we had some mutual friends that were black too. So it was a multicultural affair.
Okay.
But she always wanted to go everywhere.
Right.
It's just like,
can't do that.
yeah, let's just stay at home and watch a movie.
That's crazy. The sisters really don't like the brothers going across the line.
I would have got some flack. I had asked around just to see, test the waters. Like, hey, what would you say if you saw me with a white girl?
That's okay. So, Ronnie, I understand that you have not dated outside of your race.
No, I haven't dated outside of my race.
Is there a reason why?
It just hasn't presented itself. It's not something that I'm against.
Uh-huh.
I grew up in an interracial household.
Okay.
My grandmother is Chinese and my grandfather was black, and I grew up around them a lot, most of my childhood, and so, but I've never dated outside of my race.
Would you?
I would.
You would? Mm-hmm. What race? Let's name one.
I don't think that it really matters.
It really wouldn't?
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right.
He tried it.
I'm half Filipino, so I'll talk to you.
No, wow. Shameless play.
Oh, my goodness. So, what are some of the things that you learned from dating outside of your race?
I would say one of the first things that I noticed was that this particular Caucasian girl, and specifically, I don't like to generalize entire races because I've been around a lot of different types of people and everyone is different. Mm-hmm. But this particular Caucasian woman that I was hanging out with, she was very free, and I felt like, and I've been around a lot, and her crew, and then some of the other Caucasians that I got to know that hung in her circle, just the freedom that they feel. Wow. To do whatever they want, whenever they want, and not feel two shits about it. Like, I wasn't raised that way. I was raised to think about pretty much everything that I did, right? Especially out in public. And she was just free about everything. She was like, "Hey, let's go here, let's go there." And I'm like, "Hey, let's not. let's go here." And so when we were out, it was like she felt like nothing was wrong. I would tell her, I was like, "Yo, I don't know, it's a good idea. We should go there." You know what I'm saying? Certain places, and she was like, "Oh no, it's fine. It'll be fine. It'll be great." They don't care.
Being black and being a black male at that, you have to kind of be reserved in some situations, man, because it's not free for everybody like it is for some.
And I saw the looks when we went out, because this is a good looking Caucasian girl we're talking about, very good looking. So, and typical good looking type of, she had the nice size package.
Okay.
And so, and pretty face, and, she just had that look. Right. So when we went out, she was going to get noticed regardless whether I was there or not. Right. And so for me to be with her, and she's trying to hold my hand and make sure we were all up under each other, and one particular time in general, and specifically, we went to this bar, and it was a lot of Caucasian. It was a Caucasian bar, predominantly Caucasian bar. And the white brothers in there was looking at us like, "What you doing?" So
let me cut you off right there. Good. Ronnie, last question.
Yes.
Since you haven't dated outside of your race, what do you think you would be able to teach someone of another race about your race?
I think that a lot of times we tend to generalize about things that we don't know anything about.
I think that we all can offer different perspective about a lot of different things. And then I think just about black women in general, I think that we have this negative stigma about what black women are and what we're about. And I think I can offer that.
Okay. All right. We'll be right back. This is Me Before We. I'm King Mason. See you soon.
Yeah, call me crazy, but I still love you. Still love you.
And we're back. I'm King Mason. Thank you for staying with us. Me Before We. And we're talking about interracial dating. The pros and cons. Is it good? Is it bad? I have all my guests back on the panel now. And let's go ahead and talk about something that Nate had hit on just a little bit. Privilege. He had dated a Caucasian lady, if you're just tuning in, and she thought she had the freedom to go everywhere. She could go to the park. She could go to Statue of Liberty. She could go eat in the front of the restaurants. But Nate was reserved in his growing up, and he felt as if that's kind of wilding out. We just don't do that type of thing. So let's start at the end of the couch, Ms. Camelia. Do you feel that some races feel privilege or have privilege over other races when it's dating, it kind of clashes?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think that, and obviously there are various extents to which that goes. I feel like I grew up in a place where we felt very free. I grew up in a predominantly African American community, but it was a fairly affluent African American community, and so our parents tended to sort of give us this idea that you can be anything, you can do anything, you can go anywhere you want, and so I think that when you talk to various black people, you'll get different levels of privilege. I suspect, but yes, in dating outside of my race, I'd say there were specific incidents and where I could tell that he really did not fully understand the extent of which our lives and our experiences were different until he dated me. For instance, we were walking down, I lived on a street called Newberry Street in Boston. If anyone visits Boston, it's a street that leads to Fenway Park. It's in Back Bay, and so it's also a fairly affluent area of Boston. We were walking home one night, and a truck full of white boys pulled up beside us and started yelling racial slurs at me as we were walking, and I could see it in his face that he was, he was very afraid. And it was his first time ever experiencing anything like that, and he was shocked and afraid and kind of scared. And I think that made him think a lot differently, because before that it was just like, oh, I like you, you like me, everything is fine, like we're just, what's the problem? But until it was in his face, I don't think that he really fully understood like how people were impacted by just seeing us out together.
Okay.
So.
What about you?
I guess I'll talk about dating Caucasians particularly because they're the ones that have the privilege at the end of the day. Let's keep it real. So, for the most part, they understood they were privileged. And what has kind of turned me off is I'm treated like a charity case because of, oh, poor, black girl, I understand your struggle. And it didn't come off as concern, it kind of pity. It will come off as pity sometimes, like I feel sorry for you.
Oh, like they're helping you or something.
Yes,
and
that's a huge turn off, especially single mom on top, thinking I need all kind of assistance because of my being a parent and being African American, and that's not the case.
Wow, that's deep. There, okay. You got me like I gotta hold back on saying something, Jesus. So let's do this. What are truly? We know pros and cons, oh, it's black, white, or it's black, Asian. We're going to get the looks, we're going to get the... But what are some of the true pros and cons of dating outside your race that I wouldn't know about? Because I've never dated outside my race. I'm pro-black, thank you, Lord. So what are the behind-the-scenes pros and cons that the everyday person doesn't see?
For myself, it would be, like I said, progressing. You're learning about other cultures and their way of lives and their walks through life, other than what you've experienced in your family. That would be definitely a pro. Also, being a black woman, you see the stats. We're not out here getting married, and we're at the bottom of the totem pole on that. So it increases my dating pool. If I just stick to African American men, I don't have that much of a selection, especially if I look for ones on my level. Successful, educated.
You're on my level. Okay. All right. What about, let's ask this question. Is it more acceptable for a black man or a black woman to date interracially? Because I know if there was a show called Scandal for Men, the black women would rant and boycott because it is a black man trying to get with a white woman. But now that scandal is really a black woman sleeping with a married white man, the president, it's okay. Highest rated show when it comes on. So, what do you think, Miss Ronnie?
I think that we're happy to see the change. To me, I mean, I think that it has been accepted that our black men are going to date outside their race, and that's just what it is.
Really?
I do. I really think so. I think that it is so much more accepted. And when you see a black woman with a man outside of her race, it's rare. It's very rare to see a black woman outside of her race.
Where is this located at?
I guess it depends on where you're at.
If you look at it statistically, it's much more likely that a black man would marry a woman who is not African American or of any African descent than it is that a black woman would marry anyone else.
I think you may be putting that into the top 1% of black men, though. You know what I'm saying?
No,
But I think that you're so strong-minded about being so pro-black that you don't realize.
You don't want to see it.
I don't think that you want to accept it.
No!
I don't think you want to
Listen,
accept
this is my show. My niggas, we don't do that. You know? Listen, my niggas, we are with us. You know what I'm saying?
That's your squad.
That's
Speaking in general.
Yeah.
But
Listen, I'm an educated brother. I went to college. You know, I've been across the world. I've seen some things. And
I was just gonna say that even overseas, even being in different countries, I see way more African men with women from wherever they are, whether they be German,
in London,
they be British, they be Asian.
Yeah.
You do not see African
But
women.
maybe it's the South. Maybe it's because I'm below the Mason-Dixon line or something like that.
Even
Because
the South.
I think it's worse
I mean,
down
like
here.
we said, look at the numbers. Black men are getting married at a high rate. Black women aren't. So who are these black men marrying?
Right. I think it's only about 33% of black women between the
What's
ages
together
of
these
20 to like
statistics?
30 something.
Where are these stats coming from? I'm just curious. I'm trying to figure out. Y'all just said statistics.
They take marriage
I'm trying to
license
figure out.
and
Okay.
it's the Ford Motor Company.
I'm just asking. I'm just asking
a
where
lot of us
y'all
are
get
common
that
law.
from.
You
That's
might
all.
listen that
Listen,
in the common
I just
law
want some
percentage
references.
thing.
You know how you reference something in a book? I think it's like a what do you call
because
it?
I mean, literally,
Footnote. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what the footnote
if
is.
it's and this is what I try to find out on the show, because if it's so much like hate or so much dislike from black women of when you see a black man with another race, a race of woman, and then where are these people located? Where are we hearing this? Is this just fable or are these just tales or something? Because it exists. I have accepted. My mama is one to where she is like, nigga, don't come up in here with the pale face. She's like that. So I'm just trying to figure it out. But we have to end this segment. I do appreciate everybody coming out. I do appreciate you. I love you. This is Me Before We. I'm King Mason. We talked about interracial dating. Hit us on the website, thekingmason.com. Email me about topics or questions. Talk to you later. Have a great day.
And I'm gonna stay with you, yeah. Call me crazy, but I still love you. Still love you. Even all the dysfunctional things you do. That shit, like even